Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. Today I'm working on this Daily Star Wars. I did another video on this, posted a few weeks ago. In that video, I fixed a cap on the power supply and one of the big power transistors for the flippers on the flipper board, and got the thing up and running. And I was just going through it this morning. I got a quote to tell him how much it's going to be to fix everything else, and I'm going to do a full shop job on it. And I was just going through making sure all the features were working. And the one thing that's not working is this little motor, which runs the guard up, protects the Death Star. So it's like a drop target almost, except instead of popping up and down, it's on a motor. It's basically a shield for the Death Star. So you've got to do something in the game to get this motor to turn. It lowers that shield. In the first video, I noted that this was unplugged. So the whole thing was unplugged. So I was just like looking around, and I saw you got this red and white striped and white. And I was measuring across here, and I didn't have any voltage across there. And I went to the diagnostics, and there's a diagnostics feature, and I'm in it right now. Bar motor, and if I'm supposed to be able to press this button here, the start button, and that should operate that right now. It's not. But I was just looking around, and I just saw right away, I saw this white and red and white on this relay. So they're using this relay to control the motor. So my first question was, well, I wonder if the relay's broken and or the circuitry that drives the relay is not working. So first thing I wanted to do is just see if this motor worked, because I don't know what's wrong with it at this point. So, well, I do actually. I just haven't told y'all yet. So what I did was I just mapped out what was going on here. And basically, so there's the red and white, and there's the white one. And you can see this red and white one, the trace on it goes around to this center one. And if you look at the relay right now, it's not energized, and the two bottom electrodes are touching. If you can see that there. So it's basically those two are touching and those two are touching. Well, the bottom one here goes around, and it's not going to anything. So it's in basically the off state. And so when that coil energizes, that center blade moves up, and it connects that and that, and it connects that and that. Well, both of those go to the white. So basically when that coil energizes, it connects that to that. And it's labeled real nicely here. So one is the coil, and one is the ground. So this is the coil voltage coming in, that's the ground. So you don't want to connect that to that, because that's going to fry the board that's driving this. Basically, it goes through here, it goes, and it's going out and out, because this is going, I should say this is going out through this connector and out to the board. So if I short across those two pins, it should make it should drive this. So if I basically manually close this relay, the thing should fire off. So I'm gonna do it here live. Maybe you hear it moving? It's running. So I still haven't fully answered my question. I know the motor's good. So now the question is the relay board bad, or is it not getting a signal in? So that's the next part, and I'll bring in here once I figure something out, because I guess the simplest thing to do is it's DRY. I don't know if that's supposed to be for, let's turn this up so y'all can read it too. I don't know, DRY, driver. So basically, when I press the button over here, I should get some voltage differences across. So those two electrodes there, that's driving this coil here. So I should see some voltage differences when I push that button. So I'm gonna do that right now. And See if I see that, and if I do, then or maybe I'll measure continuity too real quick. That's easy enough. These usually don't lose continuity because they're encased, so they, but maybe it did. We'll see. By the way, this is one place I found it. So there's the motor, there's the relay board, but, geez. So it didn't even show the return. It doesn't show the brown wire coming off of it. It just shows ground. So I've got 28 volt AC going through that motor. Wow, okay. I guess I could have figured that. But in any case, well, there's my brown one. CPU CN12, okay. CPU CN12, well, that's a start. Okay, so I found CN12 in pin 8. Looks like it's in the far left. And this is pretty easy to figure out because there's a 1 in there, it's hard to see, and there's a 9 there, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Anyway, I figured out it's that one right there because I grounded. I've got this jumper and I just got it attached to ground down here. I touch it to this one right here. You can hear it running. Actually, no, that's the motor. Sorry. I thought that was it. Well, shoot. Maybe I was looking at the wrong one the whole time. I was looking at that. Maybe that whole thing was wrong. Let me go back and look again because that was turning this, and I need the one that brings up this door right there. Yeah, that's the Death Star motor. I need the other motor for the, I don't know what they're calling it. Oh, it's down here. Bar motor right here. Okay. It's right beneath it. Similar situation. So it's still CN12, but it is pin 5. So, okay, I think I just went across that and I don't think it went. I'm gonna try it again. So there's number 8. That's driving the motor. There's 7, 6, 5. So 5 is not doing anything. That should be driving that door up and down, and it's not. So most likely, this board is working to drive that. I mean, I don't know that it is, but it's probably is. But if I ground that all this board it really does is to ground that, which I'm doing right now. So even if it was grounded, it wouldn't work. So probably I've just got a lack of continuity between the ground tab on that transistor and that relay down below. So I'm just gonna have to go through here and basically follow wires and try to figure out where the continuity ends. I just picked up the Playfield and I looked at the that brown wire, and it's actually brown with a purple stripe, which is this one here, which is the second over, which looks like it'd be that one there, but that one drives this. So it's, I don't know, maybe these are not directly in the order you'd think they would be. I don't know. But I'm going to start with this. I'm going to pull this board because I got to pull this board anyway and do something about these batteries. I'm either going to do an NVRAM or put in a lithium coin cell. So that'll give me a chance to look at these headers and see how these are organized, and maybe it'll be a real simple fix, just a bad header pin or something simple. I can measure measure all those transistors and see if any of them are blown. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I can do that. I've got to do this board anyway, so I can rule some of the easy stuff out real quick. Well, the first thing I found here, I got the RAM. It's already socketed, and it's a 6264, which I've got the NVRAM version of that, so that's going to make for a real easy getting rid of the battery situations. Clip that and desolder that, and this board is clean. Bad news, well, bad news, good news, this board is super clean. I mean, the solder joints are, I get to focus in here, they are good. I mean, this board is pretty much pristine. I don't know, maybe, does that look, if I, now that I've got it magnified, can I see separation there? No, I don't think I do. Maybe I do. Look in the center for reference. Sometimes I wonder if I'm making it up. Let me find some more of them here. Now that one I definitely do not. Those other ones, yeah. So I'm gonna, yeah, some of these look, yeah, that one, I definitely see some separation there. That second one in on the left side. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm gonna hit these real quick and I'm gonna change that NV RAM and then maybe I'll look at those transistors real quick. All right, so I got the new RAM in there. I resoldered all the header pins, got the battery out, checked these transistors are fine. I didn't figure there'd be a problem. I also figured out why there was only 8 of these and 9 pins. Well, there's only 8 pins. 3 doesn't go to anything. So these transistors are, that's pin 1, pin 2, pin 3 is missing. That's pin 4, pin 5, pin 6. So basically they're 1 through 9 with the skipping 3. I went ahead and put a mark on pin for pin 5 and for pin 8. One confusing thing I've realized is, so in the schematics here, it shows brown and violet going to pin 8. And that's, when I looked over here at the connector, it's brown, I said brown and purple. Brown and violet, we went to pin 8. But down in the game, off that relay board, there was also brown and violet coming off here. It should have been brown and yellow. So maybe they ran out of brown and violet wire. I don't believe there was another brown and violet going to this. I'm going to see if it's brown and yellow. It probably goes through another connector between the Playfield and the back of the CPU. So they might have swapped it from brown yellow to brown, or brown and violet to brown and yellow there. So I want to see if there's a brown and yellow one there. In any case, it's not working, but I don't know. It's kind of weird that the colors don't match up. Sometimes they don't. Okay, so I got the board plugged in, and sure enough, pin 5 is brown and yellow. I'm going to confirm one more time that that was actually brown and purple coming off that relay board. And that relay board is driving that little ramp and not the motor. Okay, so here's that relay board, and it comes off as blue, and the blue goes through this connector and comes off here, and it's brown and purple. So I'm going to ground that blue pin right there, and that should make the motor run. Look at the end of this jumper connected to ground. And sure enough, that's the wrong dang motor. I've been working on the wrong dang thing. All right. Okay, so it's not that relay board. You gotta find the other relay board. So, somebody, oh, there's another relay board. Oh, that wire's cut. Huh, I wonder if that's why it doesn't work. And that's yellow and brown. Yeah, that wire's cut bigger than nonsense. Huh. Almost looks like it's cut on purpose. Well, I'm gonna uncut it on purpose and see if that fixes it. I'd swear I saw that thing moving. I'd swear I did. So I don't know if this thing is working at all now. Everything I've done has been nonsense. Yeah, update. Well, it does have a connector, so I can just disconnect it and bring it over the bench and repair that wire and plug it back in and see what happens. So I just shortened that red one a little bit because it was just a tad bit on there. I'm a little nervous about sticking this in there. It may smoke something because that red wire almost looked like it was cut and the motor itself was unplugged. So I'm undoing those two things. Oh, are you interested? Yeah. Well, we'll stick it in there and see if see what we smoke. Okay, I've got the board just kind of dangling there. I'm gonna turn it on.
May the force be with you.
Nothing. I'm gonna go into the test mode here. If I can get into it. Huh, we're not booted up. That's strange. All right, so there's our relay.
May the force.
The relay is not clicking over. I don't think it did. Actually, it is clicked over. The motor's not running. I believe it's energized. Pretty sure it is. Let me go into the diagnostics here. We'll be sure. Bar motor, okay. Okay, well, I've got something here. You can hear it. So the relay is working. The motor is not working. So, I guess the next question is, do we have their 28 or whatever I think it's 28 volts AC coming in and going out? I guess I'll start digging into that next and see, yeah, measure down here, see if I've got 28 volts. So I measured the resistance across that motor there, just the two leads, so it's AC, it's coming in here. I measured 100 ohms. I don't know if that's exactly right, but it's working, so it's probably not too far off. Did the same thing for the one that's not working. It's open, so open's not good. So I think that motor's just fried, which explains why it was cut up here and disconnected down here. So I'm gonna have to find myself a new motor. Hopefully it's obtainable. Maybe, maybe not. Found the part number here, and apparently it was also used in a Batman. Steve has it. Usually if he's got them listed, they're usually in stock, because otherwise they'd say out of stock. So 50 bucks, not too bad. I saw it on a couple other places. I just Googled the number and they were like $100 and out of stock. So yeah, I'm gonna be calling Steve up here real soon. Swap that dude out. Well, so I got this Star Wars stripped down, all very nicely placed in this cart here. Got all new targets. I'm gonna replace all these, so I'm not gonna have to clean those, but it is pretty filthy. I mean, when I say pretty filthy, I mean very, very filthy. A little old wax in there, got applied, didn't quite get taken off, but anyway, I'm gonna start with some naphtha. It says Zippo. I'd use these cans and then refill them with naphtha because it's the same thing. I get a gallon or close to a gallon of naphtha, a lot cheaper than buying the Zippos. Anyway, so first pass, here we go. All right, I'm done with my first pass with just using naphtha and a rag. See all the filth I got off with just the naphtha. It sounds like the naphtha sounds like it's going to be like harsh, but it's actually the safest thing, just about the safest liquid you can put in your Playfield. Okay, I'm going to start off with a little Novus too, and I wouldn't say it's kind of clean. I've cleaned it with naphtha, but I'm just going to do a spot here. You'll see how quickly look at all that. I mean, that was an area that's already been cleaned once with naphtha. The Novus just does a lot more. And if you want to get more aggressive than this, you can go with the Mr. Clean, the Magic Eraser. But I don't think that will be required for this game because this one's got Mylar or much of it, and it's really in pretty good shape. It's just dirty. I think the Novus 2 will be plenty. Don't think we'll need any Magic Eraser on this. Are you pointing at where I'm cleaning it? It's like this stuff here, that's just like a million balls. That one little area. Kind of slowly fading. A little more elbow grease and it will come up. Pretty fascinating stuff to watch, isn't it?
I love to watch you clean.
I know it's doing something because my fingers are getting warm. Need some friction. There's still a little left, but I'm gonna at least save that spot for a little later because those fingers need a break. But the Novus really does a lot of good. I mean, look at all that just came up right there. It's just like so much brighter, and it doesn't take that long. Big issue is just getting everything out of the way so you can get to like, so that's the lane guide right there. So nobody's really cleaned underneath there in like forever. So it actually comes up pretty easy because it's not really been pounded in by the ball. So it's easy to clean once you get access to it. So it's just a matter of getting, when you get a game stripped like this, it's such a pain to strip it. You really want to do a good job cleaning it when you get it down like this and you get access to everything. And when I'm done cleaning, everything's going to go to LEDs. A lot of these, that bulb's probably dead. A lot of them are dead. Some of these that are harder to get to probably haven't been swapped out in a really, really long time, or maybe ever. I'll get one more plastic to get off. I don't think there's anything holding that. It's just stuck. A lot of these are just kind of, yeah, stuck. No, it's not. It's just, they're just stuck in the bolts are stuck to the holes. Yeah, like those two bulbs, those have been burnt out forever. So anyway, I'm gonna get to it with the Novus 2, and then when I'm done, Jane's gonna look at me and say, man, that sucks. I'm gonna really clean it now, and then she'll really clean it. When I was looking at this, I thought the black was part of the artwork. That's just black filth, because I started scrubbing and it started coming off. It's like, here, let me show you.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even realize, I thought that was just an art package, but
Great. It's just nasty.
I didn't realize, oh my gosh. Yeah. It's just really, really nasty. Okay. So I've got some more scrubbing to do, obviously. Clearly. Well, I hadn't even started the top, but just in the bottom here, I still got a long ways to go. Well, I got the new motor in for my Star Wars. It doesn't have the connector on here, so I'm just going to cut off the end of this connector and solder it onto here, and that'll get my connector, my Molex, and also get my capacitor, and plug it in. Hopefully that's going to fix our little guard to the Death Star. So I'm just going to throw a little solder on all the end of the wires. Well, if I can keep from wiggling so much. I've already got my heat shrink on there. Just slide the heat shrink down. Turn my fan off, it's blowing out my butane lighter. Alrighty, now I'll throw this in the machine and hope for the best. Alright, I'll boot this sucker up. I just got it hanging here. It's plugged in. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into the menu and see if I can find it. Bar motor. Okay, if I press the button, this button right here, it should do something. Let's see. It's running. It's not focused there. You see it turning? On, off, on, off. So just a burn up motor. All right, so that's fixed, and now I just gotta reassemble, put the whole thing back together because I took it all apart so I could get that motor off of there. So anyway, fun. Let me show you what Jane has done to the playfield. So this is not waxed yet. This is just polished. I cleaned it. You saw me cleaning it a little bit. She came up and cleaned it a whole lot more. Used some Novus 2, Novus 1. She touched up a little bit just on some black areas, like that hair there was just worn out, so we just basically repainted his foot black. Then put a little bit of urethane just over there to protect that black paint. Just so there's a couple areas like that. Fortunately, they're all black, so it's just black touch up, so it's pretty easy. Haven't done anything with these switches because I've got all new switches to put in there, so they're all pretty ratted out. So, but the rest of it's really good. So only thing I've got left to do with the top of the playfield is wax it and then swap out all the bulbs to LEDs and then start anyway, so get all the bulbs working, get it waxed, and then restart repopulating. And I think everything is working on the game at this point. I believe. Should probably check every single switch again before I put everything back together. Well, I can't because a lot of the switches are down in here, but I can at least get all the switches that are on the playfield because there's probably a couple that are hard to read. It's like that one there, at least from the top anyway. But anyway, it's moving right along. This is, by the way, that replacement motor, Steve didn't have it at Pinball Resource, but he did tell me about, there's actually, the number I had was for the motor with the connector on it. And there's a different number for just the motor. So by looking for just the part with the number, it was easier to find. So anyway, so I was able to get it from Marco's. It's like almost $100, I think. A little bit more, well, a little significantly more than Steve's price, but he didn't have it. So, there you go. Glad Marco's did. Got me up and running, so I'm gonna get to it. Those are gonna get cleaned up yet. I didn't see that. Anyway, we're getting close. About ready to start repopulating. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and swap out these stand-up targets there. Steve sells them as singles only, because as he informed me, they had their own mounting brackets, and he's absolutely correct. So swap these out. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this bracket, mount these two on there, stick them up in here, and then I'll transplant these wires over to the new one so I can get them in the right orientation with the right diodes and keep it all straight. All right, so I got one of them done. Got the diode facing away from the red and white line, just like the other one. And it's also, the red is on basically the dead end electrode, because there's 3 of them. So 2 of them go to the switch, and the other one is just dead ended. Right at the end of you can see there. It's that top little piece of blade. It just goes into the wafer and stops. So that's where positive side of the diode goes. So anyway, do this 5 more times, or 4 more times. 2, 3, 4, 4 more. Yeah, 4 more times. Got 5 total. So looks a lot better. All right, so I got it all waxed up. Got my new Stand-up targets all put in there. They're looking good. So next thing I'm gonna do is LED this thing. At least get all the LEDs on the top side done. Just so you can see what the lights are like. None of the GI lights up here. Well, there's a couple there. They're holding on. There's one there. There's that one there. That one there and that one there already swapped out because they were dead. I mean, they're almost everything on the top of the playfield is gone. I swapped out a few of the bottoms. I didn't even check to see if they were working or not. I did them before I turned on the game. And I was thinking how bad they looked. And I mean, most of them, the GIs are gone. So anyway, they're all gonna be good, and these LEDs ought to last a really long time. All right, I got all the lights on the playfield swapped out. All the lights on the back box swapped out. And by the way, there was only like 8 or 10 of them that were working. I thought maybe a couple of strands were out because there's, I believe anyway, there's probably at least a couple of different strands of wires that run them all. But I swapped out all the bulbs and they all kicked back on. I do have to still swap out that connector there. It's horrible looking. It's feeling a little bit better at the moment though, only supplying about maybe 20% of the juice it was supplying earlier. But so now I'm gonna go ahead and flip this thing up and swap out the playfield lights underneath. But man, this game is a lot brighter now. I'll put yellow or ambers under there, greens and reds, match it with the lens. And this thing's gonna, maybe I'll just start with half of it and then give you all a show. So here it is with the left side LED and the right side not. Let's see, it's blinking out on my phone, but it's actually much more dramatic in real life than in person. That blinking, it's not actually blinking like that. It just looks like that. So it doesn't really work very well looking on my phone. The LEDs have a frequency that my phone doesn't like. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to it, do the rest of this, and I guess then I'll be ready to start populating as soon as I get that little connector back. All right, so I'm gonna take care of this pin now. I'm just in the process of pulling it off again. The outer part of that connector just ripped off and it's all burned up. It's just a lot, basically too much current goes through these with incandescent bulbs and they get hot and burn up. And as they age, they corrode, gets more resistance, more heat makes more corrosion, more resistance, and it's just, they kind of, they once they go down a path of deterioration, it gets pretty bad pretty quick. So anyway, I got, well, it's not a brand new connector. It's a used connector, but it's gonna be brand new pins. So at least a couple, I don't wanna pull that out yet. I don't wanna pull that out quite yet. Don't wanna get them out of order. At least one of these is gonna be, that yellow one's gonna be 2 wires and 1 connector. That's always the fun, but just get after it here. I've shown this before, so I'm not gonna show it right now, but I'm gonna get to crimping. That GI connector is feeling a lot better. It'll never burn up again, especially with the LEDs on there. So it's got the Trifurcan pins on there, so. All right, I keep saying it now, it's time to repopulate this. I gotta put all this nonsense back in here, which is gonna be, yeah, fun and lots of cleaning on the way. R2-D2 is pretty nasty. Yeah, that's the thing. You grab a part and then you clean in 5 minutes, then you stick it on there. Anyway, it's gonna take a while. I'm gonna get after it. Oh, I guess I'll start putting on a couple of rubbers before I get too far gone. Can't put them all on because I don't have, some of the posts I've got, a lot of them got. I guess we'll start, and definitely don't want to get too much up here because I've got some of these that are gonna have posts on them. I have to go back and look at my pictures. I usually start at the bottom anyway, so I'll start with the slingshots and move up and get my posts, get my rubbers out. I'm probably gonna go with clear rubbers on this game because it's kind of sci-fi. It'll brighten it up more, and the clear looks good on kind of sci-fi themed, I think. Anyway, here we go. So I'm gonna start this game putting together these rail guides. These are what they look like coming out of the game. Pretty filthy. He's gonna get a bath in the ultrasonic, and I think they'll come out looking pretty good. That's what about a minute in the ultrasonic does. I mean, it takes longer to rinse them and dry them than it does to actually cook them in the ultrasonic. I mean, they're like brand new. So I'll get to getting. So there's the two plastics that go on the top, and you can see the one I cleaned and the one I haven't cleaned, and I'm just using Novus 1 and a paper towel, and you see all the grime I got off that one. So it's tedious, but you know, in the end it makes a big difference. So on the issue of these rubbers for Data East, they have these little, well, there's two rubbers here if I can get it focus. There's the top ring rubber, and then there's a, yeah, you're rooting around, Django. You want to look at it too? We inspect. Django doesn't like the bottom rubbers. I don't either. I was, one time, this was a while ago, I was ordering some from Steve. He's like, why you even put those on there? All they do is deaden it. I'm like, and he was also complaining about how much I was spending buying this stuff from him, of course, you know. He doesn't want me to waste my money, even if it is wasting it with him. Django, you're in my lap. You got to get down. You got to get down. He gets jealous. So anyway, yeah, he advises just don't even use them. Just throw the old ones away and don't put the new ones on there. That's exactly what I'm doing, because the ball hits it. Instead of bouncing off the rubber ring, it gets deadened by the bottom part. So it just deadens the whole game. So I'm going to get rid of them, and I'm not putting them back. Well, the old slingshot plastics are all busted up. But fortunately, so these are not the originals. I think these are reproductions, because usually when you get a kit, a lot of times the kit will have an extra set, and there was an extra set down below. And I'm guessing these are 20 years old, because this game, he has to be in my lap if I'm talking. I'm sitting. And so anyway, I was going to put these little plastic washers on here to protect it, but they're not big enough to get to the perimeter, so that's not going to do. So I guess in time these will break too, and sometime in the future maybe somebody will get it redone again and get some new plastics. So I never had actually hooked up that motor, so I had it plugged in, but I didn't have it all the mech hooked back up. So I did that. I got it in the test mode. I'm gonna hit the start button here. If I hold in, it goes up and down. And this hasn't gone up and down probably in 20 years, I'm guessing. Unless the owner unplugged it, but I don't think so. So you see as it goes, the two switches, so it knows when it's getting up at the top and the bottom. So that's all working good. So I've went ahead and started populating the bottoms here with clear rubbers. I think they look great on this style of game, especially with these clears behind it. It just all the clear, it just looks, I think it looks great. Anyway, I am about done with this for today. I'm tired of working on this one. I'm gonna work on something else for a while. But I've made a big dent. Got a bunch of this stuff gone. That's just mostly, oh, there's key holders in there from probably 20 years ago. Anyway, feel happy with the progress I made on this today. Yeah, he's good for nothing. Anyway, well, I'm about done with the Star Wars. Almost got it all put back together. I've got one plastic, and I'm not 100% positive that it was on this game. It was definitely in my parts bin. It might have come out of the bottom. Certainly looks like it matches the theme and everything. I cannot find where it goes. I've looked through all my pictures. I've looked through IPDB. I've looked through Pinside. I texted a buddy of mine that's got one of these games at his house. Had him look. No joy. I thought for a second it went like right here, because the holes match up and it kind of looks like it might go there. And there's lots of different places where there's multi-levels, which makes this thing real fun to put together. So I thought maybe there were some standoffs. I looked at all the pictures, and that's not where it goes. Although it could go there and look okay if it was there, but that's not where it originally went. So I don't know. I thought maybe there, but the holes don't line up. So there's only a few places that has well, there's only one place that I found actually with the holes that are the right dimensions where it might go. So I don't know. You know. You just like run out of spots to potentially, but that doesn't really make any sense for it to be there. So I don't know. Let me show you the flipper plungers. So these are the two that came out of there. This one, the plastic one, doesn't have any play, but the end of it, it's flared, not real badly. Sometimes people will go ahead and file those off because that little edge will create drag as it's going through the sleeve. I just swap them. This one's got even more of an edge, and it's kind of mushroomed. So anyway, I've got some new ones. Put them sitting right here. They're going to go in. A new coil stops. The coil stops were likewise kind of concave, where these are a little bit convex. So these things are be ready to go. And yeah, I've got the bushings out. I got some new bushings put in there. About all that's left is try to figure out where the one plastic goes, if for sure it goes in this game. And these drop targets are still sticky. I've cleaned the tops of them, but I haven't cleaned the underneath. And then just do some play testing and make sure everything's working now that it's put back together. Anyway, certainly looks a lot better. Clean all these plastics, put them in the ultrasonic, and they just look like new. I like the clear rubbers on this game, and with the LEDs, I mean, it's really gonna brighten this game up a lot. So anyway, I guess the next time I film this, I'll have it completely done, and we'll do a little gameplay video on it. So I think I figured out where this goes. First off, yeah, I confirmed it is a Star Wars Data East. That's the piece right there. The right tip is broken off this one, but that's it right there. And there's the other piece right there. And I believe that piece and that piece were not in the original game, so I know the pictures show them, but they were in this reproduction plastic set. And this game that I've got, it's got a new plastic set because, as I mentioned, I pulled these two that were extras that were in the bottom of the game. So somebody put a new plastic set on there a long time ago, and they had this was on there. I guess I didn't get a pic. No, this was not on there because I've got pictures of the game, and this was not on the game when I did it. It might have been in the sack down below because there was a plastic sack that had some of these extra parts. Had those two, and had the keychains in it. So maybe it was in the sack. I don't know. I don't remember where exactly it was at, but it was definitely not on the game because I've got pictures of where this goes. So let me show you. So I am almost positive that it goes right there. It just matches up perfectly. And if that little tip that was there, it would match up perfectly. And it also matches up just right around that edge. The curvature with the pop bumper, everything. And really that light there kind of just it's not framed very well. But if that had a couple standoffs standing up there, it would look a lot cooler. And that other piece I mentioned to you, it's got the exact same shape as far as I could tell, but it probably, I don't think it comes quite as far, but it kind of comes out to about here. So again, it gives it another 3D layer. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this up here. I think it'll help with this light also because that piece is broken. I've got that washer on there to hold that plastic on there, but I think I'm gonna do standoffs and put that on there, and that will make that light be more cool. So I feel better knowing where that was driving me nuts. So the extra standoffs I have are, the threads are number 8 and these are number 6, so they're not compatible. So I'm not going to be able to get this thing on there. But anyway, got my flippers all put together. Everything's back together at this point. Got some fresh balls ready to go in there. So it's ready to put this thing through a few games, a whole bunch of games probably. That's down right now, but that's going to be fun because I think probably the kids that were playing this, I think their kids are grown now, they're going to have fun. They're going to be like, that thing's going to be coming up and down. I don't know that it ever did when they were playing it with as kids, so that'll be new for them. Anyway, just throw the balls in and fire the dude up and see what all's working. So I was in the shower this morning thinking about this plastic, and I was thinking it had to be on there somewhere because it's already broken. And I was like thinking, well, what if instead of going on top of that other plastic, it went under it? And sure enough, I'm looking on IPDB, that's it. So it sits underneath the other plastic, not on top of it. I mean, you can't even really see it, whether it's there or not. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in there because I want to, and that's where it belongs. So, but anyway, that is where that plastic goes. So now we know. So I'm just about ready to do a gameplay video. I noticed that this switch here wasn't working, but I was gonna go ahead and do the gameplay video now. And one time before, I turned it on and it didn't boot. I mean, Han Solo, Obi-Wan spoke when you first turned on the game, but that's the soundboard. But it didn't boot. I turned it off, turned it back on, and it booted up fine. It did that one time. I was like, that's kind of weird. But then now it's doing that every time. It won't boot. So kind of in the early processes trying to figure out. I just went through it real quick, checked all the fuses. They're all good. Checked some of the voltages. I got the 5 volts. Measured all these voltages here. There's a -12 and a 12. At the moment, I'm not exactly sure what those are driving, but the -12 was like -14. They're unregulated, and the +12 was only 11.6. And usually when you got something like that, you know, they're mirror images. So that +12 might be a little low. This rectifier is running very hot. I only had the game on for like 5 minutes, and it's set for a few minutes now. I could hold my finger on it, but just barely. It was very hot. So I am thinking it's probably a power supply problem. I'm gonna get out the schematics and see what that +12 is running. I'm not at the moment. I'm not sure. I'm kind of thinking it's got the 5 volts. So I don't know what all voltages this board here needs to boot beyond the 5 volts. It's got the 5 volts, it's got the ground. I don't know what else it needs. And I'm not positive it's a power supply problem. That's just my guess at this moment. So once I figure out a little bit more, I'll bring y'all back in. So I pulled up the, well, I didn't pull them up. Got a paper copy of the power supply here. So the 2 symptoms I had, my -12 unregulated was a little bit low, and the regular 12 volts was about what you'd figure, a little bit more than 12. So it was like 14, and this one was like 11.5. So if you follow these two down, the -12, it goes to DB1, that rectifier, and that's the one that was extra hot. And the other side of it is the positive side, which was good. So when they're like that, they ought to be very similar, mirror images. The other thing about this is the 5 volts. It was good, but it's basically generated from the same the +12 side. I mean, it's got all this other stuff, and there's all these caps. So I could swap out that, but it could be just a bad cap. When I went through this first time, I swapped out, I don't remember which one exactly it was, one bad cap that belched all over the board, and I didn't swap out all the caps. I probably should have. I'm gonna do that now. I may end up changing this rectifier. I'm gonna test it first. It may or may not be the rectifier. It may be one of these caps. But anyway, I'm gonna go through this board all the way, and this may or may not be the problem, but I wanna rule it out as a potential problem. Definitely want to get my voltages up here where they seem like where they ought to be, and hopefully that fixes it. If it doesn't, then I'll look downstream from here. So I got the board out here on the bench. This is that cap that I swapped out already, and I was under the impression that somebody had already recapped this, but you know, under further examination, I don't believe so. I don't think this has been resoldered. So maybe those are all the original caps. I think they probably are. In any case, I'm going to swap them all out. And another thing I was thinking, after I got the board out, I should have measured the AC, if there's any AC rippled on that 5 volts, because that could have been the reason why it was booted intermittently a couple times, and then now it's not booting at all. So even though the 5 volts was there, I measured the 5 volts DC fine, it may have been a ripple. So I'm not going to put the board back in there to measure that. I'm just going to swap out all the caps. And I did a diode test on this rectifier, and it looked good with the diode test. So I'm probably not going to swap that out right now. I'm going to go through all the caps and check it again, then throw it in the game and see where we're at. And the rectifiers usually they're working or not working, and they don't necessarily age out like the caps do. So a week later, I got those last 3 caps. So this board is ready to go back in the game, and hopefully everything's going to boot up. And if not, then I have to dig a little deeper. So I measured all my voltages. I've got my 5 volts. It's like 5.05. My ground's fine. My minus 12 is like minus 14, just like before. My plus 12 is only 11.5, just like before. So maybe I'll go ahead and swap out this rectifier. I was thinking about doing that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm showing 5 volts over in the board. I measured 5, it was like 4.99. So I've got the 5 volts here. I'm actually not positive what all voltages this board needs, if it just needs a 5 volts or it needs something else. But in any case, I'm gonna start by swapping out this rectifier here real quick and see what it does for me. See if that did. I did measure to see if I've got any ripple on the. I measured to see if there's any AC ripple on the 5 volts, and there is not. So the 5 volts seems clean. I need to read on PinWiki, see what all this board needs to boot. At the moment, I'm not sure. But first, I'm gonna swap with that bridge rectifier, because that generates the 12, the positive 12, minus 12, and those look a little funky to me. So I'm gonna do that real quick. So these bridge rectifiers like this can be pretty hard to get out because they're so big. It's hard to get all the solder off, and you can't just like heat up one side and pry it off because you got 3 sides or 4 sides. So anyway, what I'm going to try to do is somewhere I've got some of. Hold on, 1 minute. Let me find. So I've got this rim alloy. Anyway, it's basically soldered with a real low melting temperature. So first thing I did, I add a little bit of solder to this, freshen it up, and then sucked off as much as I could. I'm gonna put some of this on there, and it's got such a low solder temperature, I put a little bit on each one, and it will like heat up, ideally keep all 4 hot at one time, and it'll just pop. I can drop the whole thing out, or at least get 2 sides out, and I can kind of pull it, wedge it back and forth. But like I said, this stuff, it has a real low temperature, and so melting point, so it will stay in a liquid form a lot longer. So first I'm just going to add a little bit to each one of these. And I've got my soldering iron up pretty hot too. Stuff doesn't really act like regular solder. It doesn't flow as well, and but that's really not the point. So yeah, those 2 stayed liquid, and that's still kind of liquid. There. I would not have been able to do that without using that. Not very easily. It's very tough. Almost need 2 soldering irons or something. So anyway, now I need to get rid of all that stuff because it has really low melting point. So I'm going to clean all it off and then put in a new bridge rectifier. So I did a diode test on this rectifier, and you measure the 4 different ways, and they're all like 0.525, except for one was 0.486, which is not out of spec, but it's different than the other 3, which maybe it's not quite pumping it out. Anyway, I put a new one in there, throw it in the game. I'm not really thinking this is gonna get it to boot, but I'd still like to get the voltages up where they I feel they ought to be. Anyway, we'll see. Well, as you can see, I've got the game booted up. It had nothing to do with the power supply. This connector, I wiggled that connector, and I get it to boot up. So I'm gonna have to repin this connector. So I think everything's going now. I need to play it, but unfortunately I do not have sounds at the moment. So possibly another connector. I don't know. Haven't figured out why it doesn't have sounds. The sounds were working and now they're not. So including I don't have the sounds when the game first, even before it boots up. OB1 speaks when you first turn the game on during the boot up process, which makes me think it's got nothing to do with the NPU talking to the soundboard. The soundboard itself should be generating, because this is its own little computer. As I understand it anyway, I think that's the case on this game. A lot of games are like that. So I'm guessing it's probably, I don't know, it could be the board itself failed, but I haven't pulled this board out, so I don't know. I thought maybe this ribbon cable between the NPU and this board, the NPU, this cable here, because I did disconnect that when I pulled out that board, so I thought, well, maybe that ribbon cable is bad. And maybe it is, but I believe this game should talk even without disconnected. I've got another Data East over here, Last Action Hero. I may go over there, disconnect this cable, and see if that one talks when it first boots up, just to find out to rule that cable out. Like I said, I haven't done anything to this at all. I haven't pulled the board, haven't disconnected anything, so I don't know why it's not working, but it's not. I'm gonna have to, I don't even see any. I'm just looking here, looking for some test points, see if I'm getting all my voltages to it, but I don't, right at the top of I don't see any readily. Anyway, I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'll look at my Last Action Hero and see if it'll make any sounds on boot up with this connector undone. So here's my Last Action Hero. I'm gonna turn it on.
I'll be back.
See, it says I'll be back before the game's even booted. So I'm gonna disconnect that. If I can, I can't even get back to the game. It's jammed in here. Hold on a second. Okay, so I disconnected that cable right there. We'll see if it makes any sound.
I'll be back.
That's what I thought. I'll start a game up. So now it's not making any sound because it's not being directed by the NPU. So that cable is necessary for the NPU to tell the soundboard what to make, but it's not necessary for the soundboard to make sounds on its own when it boots. So that's not the problem on the other game. So I mean, it may be a problem, but it should be making sound when it boots, and it's not. So I've got some other issue on that other game. That looks like the BSMT logic, or the chip. I got my logic probe here, pin 4. There's the notch right there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So probably gonna need 2 hands to do this, but I'm gonna do it real quick. Well, I don't know if that's good news or bad news. Probably bad news because it's not stuck low. I've got a signal on pin 4. Yep, that's pin 4. So it's not a RAM problem because that'd be easy to fix. But so it's something else. Guess I'll keep looking. I've got activity there, so I've got something going on. Maybe I'll pull these board. Maybe it's just a cold solder joint. So the solder joints looked okay on there. I did reflow them, put it back in there. Same issue, no sound. I just pulled the board off my other Data East game, Last Action Hero. I'm gonna throw it in here and see if this thing will make any sounds on this game. I know what the issues are ultimately gonna be, or there's a fair chance I've got something wired up wrong. Maybe. I mean, like a plug that's not plugged in. I have gone through this backwards and forwards, and I don't see any that are unplugged. They should be. I mean, I know that one's not plugged in, but that one's not required to get the thing to make sound when it boots. So anyway, I'm gonna try to put this other board. I may put this board in likewise put this one in my Last Action Hero and see if it could work in that game. I may do that first, actually. Okay, so I've got my Star Wars and my Last Action Hero, so if I boot it up, we ought to hear Obi-Wan talk.
May the force be with you.
Okay, so that board is working. The issue is something else. So I'm gonna, real quick, Well, shoot. So I know that that board can make sound. So something, I don't know. It's not the board. I'm guessing I've got something unplugged in the game. I'm gonna go look one more time. I think I made some progress. Look at my soundboard. Got all my powers coming in, 5 volts, ground, minus 12, nothing, and plus 12. That's this connector here. I had them all, that's that plus 12, and I wasn't getting it there, pulled off the connector, and I'm not even getting it here. So I'm not getting the plus 12, so this is not gonna work. So it's this gray with a white stripe. I'll figure out where it comes off of here, make sure it's coming off this board. I do have my 12 volts right there on the header pin. I guess I could probably take off my logic probe. Don't use that anymore. So maybe another bad connector on here or something else. I don't know. I'll let you know as soon as I figure out where. Well, I guess it's right here. I've got the page right here. So the 12 volts comes off, if I can find it. I'll get you back here in a second. So it's right here. It's that, so it's a sound, or there's plus 12, gray and white, sound channel 4. So that's CN, what does that say? CN6, pin 6. CN6, pin 6. So that's CN6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the low, yeah, there it is. So it's the lowest one in that bundle of them. Let's see if I've got my multimeter already hooked up and I've got it one end grounded. Let's see if I can get it on there. I'm measuring nothing. I'm gonna pull the connector off and see if I've got it. Power getting to that connector. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one right there. And I've got, oops. Yes, I do have the voltage. So, let me look in here. If I can zoom in. One hand. Just want to see what it looks like in there. If I can find it now. There we go. I see the telltale signs that somebody's jammed that in with a screwdriver. See how the other ones look nice and clean and that one's got a big mar on it? That's what's happened. Anyway, okay, so I bet if I repin that, I'll get my sound. I need to repin this one anyway, so I'm going to repin those, that, and that, and then maybe we'll do a gameplay video. And while we're at it, I think I'll repin this one too. I didn't notice this one, or I noticed it and didn't get back to it, but this one's some of the GI lights for the I think this just to interconnect for the back box. Anyway, it's pretty toasty. In fact, that pin's about to just fall out of there. So those are, yeah, pin, repin, and repin. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 to repin. Fun. Well, I just got that first one done there. So I'm gonna see if I've got some sound here. Oh, that was very disappointing, but I've still got this one unplugged, so wouldn't expect to get any sound. Let's try it one more time. Come on, Obi. Well, that really sucks. Still no sound. Jesus, what in the heck is going on here? Why don't I have sound? Let me measure my voltages again. So now I don't have the 12 volts at that 6th pin. I still have it up here on the test point. So must have, when I recapped this, maybe I burned a trace or something. I don't know, but I'm gonna have to take this board out and figure out why I don't have my 12 volts here. I think that's the same 12 volts. I don't know that this has got two 12 volts on it, but I don't think it would, or it'd probably have two test points. So I'm gonna take the board off and try to figure it out. I probably got a marginal trace because I was measuring it, but when I hooked it up, it wasn't. So probably that it wasn't that connector after all. It did look like somebody had pushed on there, so maybe they had some intermittent issues. I don't know. We'll see. Here's the schematics. So I should have continuity between pin 6 here and that TP3. There's pin 6 and there's that TP3 up here. I do not have continuity. So I've got a break on the board. I just recapped this thing, so obviously that's kind of where you go. It was hard to figure out the traces. I mean, it's kind of hard to see where the pins for these are, because you can't really tell if they look like they're connected at the top and the bottom. Anyway, this 6th pin right there, it actually, hold up the light, it connects to this big bus on the other side that goes down through the center. And which is, if I can find it here on the top of the board, let me orient it like this, which is this one here. So I scraped off a little of the coating on there, so I have continuity between that point and here. And you see that one goes over here to this side of that cap, so the positive side of that cap, which is that solder point right there. And from here and TP3 I have continuity. So I'm not getting continuity between this side of the board and the other side of the board. So when I soldered this in, I didn't leave it long enough for that solder to soak through and get to the trace on the other side. So I'm gonna try to do that right now. And it's just an issue of when you got a big ground trace, or it's not a ground trace, but a huge trace, it just sucks the heat. You gotta turn your solder up high, you gotta put it on a little longer duration, and make sure that you see it wick down in there. And obviously I didn't do that. So I'm gonna try this a little bit longer and see if I can get continuity through there. Okay, it's back in the game. Let's try it out. Come on, Obi. Oh, there he was. May the force be with you. It's there. Cool. I still don't have this ribbon cable for the regular sounds, but I'm just gonna say it's gonna work because I'm pretty sure it is. So I still need to repin that one and this GI light one over here, but I'm gonna save that for another day because I'm tired of messing with this game for a while. It kind of got me frustrated today. Spent a lot of time dinking around with what ultimately was this bad connector. I mean, it's been a lot. I did recap it, and I had one error when I recapped it. That one there, it didn't get the solder sucked through there. It just went down a rabbit hole, pulling the board, swapping them out, you know. No power, I had to trace it back, you know, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, finally 3 steps forward again, but get back to where you were again. So maybe tomorrow I'll finish this thing up and do a gameplay video. All right, so if you can tell from this Playfield, I've been putting on connectors, crimping them on. I redid that one, already did that one yesterday. This is the next morning for me. Redid that one. I think, get this Playfield cleaned up, I'm ready to roll some balls. Make sure everything's working. I got my sound working, I got my lights working. We'll see what's not working here in a minute. Maybe I'll put y'all on the stand and play a couple games. All right, let's fire this dude up. So there's, I believe there's a skill shot. You got a Juke TIE Fighters. There's like a digital lag between the button and what you're supposed to hit. So you kind of gotta aim for the left gun. Those pop buttons, the glass off those pop buttons are super loud. Whoa, wasn't ready for that. It might have been right down the middle, but I didn't even really flip. We'll see. That fire point. poppers, the poppy, we could use a little more pitch.
How you doing? Star approach.
How many times I can hit this shot?
Star approach.
Just wanted to get that thing down.
Stand by.
I may have too many balls in this. It said fry ball on the screen. I got 4 balls on the playfield. Maybe not. Oh, yes. There's 3 balls. Maybe I only have 4 balls. How about that for a second? Oh, it's timed out. The Death Star check. Wonder if I shoot it, it opens up again. Oh. I'm gonna hit the force and make sure that doesn't just like shoot down the center every time, because that would kind of suck. Drop targets are, y'all may not be able to see, the drop targets are not going up and down very well. Come on, let me get the nose a little bit. But I think everything else is going all right. Yeah, that's fine. I was just late on the draw last time. Oh yeah, so kicker works.
Use the force, Luke.
Speeder mode. This would be a good one to put color D&D in. Although the original one's pretty cool too. Cantina band. That's what the music. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. R2 is hopping. It's like I need to shoot Jabba. That would be like a mystery or something. Jabba's bounty. Sounds like it'd be a mystery. Okay, ball 3.
Right there, steady. Stop approaching. Stay on target.
That greedy. Oh, poor R2. Pulled out all his in, so I matched.
May the force be with you.
All right, well, that played pretty good. The only thing I see one, there's one, well, y'all can't see, I'll show you. One LED that I didn't replace. I'm gonna replace that, put the LED in there. Or maybe an incandescent because you can see the bulb directly so well. And the drop targets they're just a little bit, they're not coming up and down as well as they ought to. They come up fine, they don't go down as well as they ought to. I cleaned them, I guess I didn't get them clean enough. So those two things need attention. Otherwise, I think I'm good to go. Leg levelers, there's not near enough slope. I haven't changed the leg levelers yet. They're nasty, so when I take care of those, that'll put some pitch on it because it's playing way too slow. Anyway, so I hope you liked the video. Django's at full attention here. He says, hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Well, one last addendum. I was adjusting these drop targets, and the middle one wasn't working, and then I realized, I don't know if you can see that. Let me zoom in. That diode has broken free right there. So that middle drop target wasn't registered. So I'm gonna resolder that right there, and I bet I get it back. So anyway, I'll say bye again, and I'm sure this is gonna take care of that. So, adios. One last addendum. We got the legs off. Fought a little bit to get these old leg levelers off. I'm gonna go ahead and rattle can these things, put some black Rust-Oleum on there, about $3.78 worth of paint, and this thing's gonna look a lot better. So now I'll say goodbye for the last time, for sure, this time.